Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. What a treat. We are having one of the people I have admired and looked up to for so long. I'm going to try not to act like fangirl here, but we welcome Nancy Honeytree to our community. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Susie.
Well, like I say, Nancy, I've been listening to you since the 70s, which dates us both, but that's okay. Who cares, right? And I think I really didn't know your first name until like decades later because you always went by Honeytree. But can you...
Just went by Honeytree at the beginning. It was kind of a hippie name.
Oh, that's why, because you were kind of hippie girl, hippie chick.
I was, yeah. And now it's a nickname, so my first name is Nancy.
And
people call me both Nancy and Honeytree.
And Honeytree. Well, you know, it's just such an endearing term, I think, Honeytree. It was just beautiful and described you. And can I say, you haven't changed a bit. You might look younger. It's kind of disgusting. You really you're doing really well in the aging category, I've got to say. Let's talk about those early days, those pioneer days. There was no Christian radio. There was no Dove Awards in the very, very beginning. You all were musically gifted, but chose to deliberately and purposefully make your music be about something a little higher than what we were normally listening to in those rock and roll days. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Of course, that's a result of the fact that there was a revival called the Jesus Movement, and it was a real, genuine move of the Holy Spirit that poured out all over the world, and the Lord had targeted hippies to get saved and to be, converted and become born-again Christians. And so out of that, some of us who became Christians were musicians, so it was just, so natural for us to start writing songs about the experience we were having with the Lord, and not only just to express ourselves, but also to tell other people about how wonderful it was to know Jesus. And they called it Jesus music at the beginning, and it came out of the Jesus movement. I think there was for me, there was never a question of, am I going to be a secular artist or a Christian artist? I was just a Jesus person. So there was no question I was going to sing for Jesus.
Yes. Well, it was almost like you were an artist, but that was who you wanted to sing about, and that's where you wanted to use your gifts. There was no such a thing, really, as Christian music at the time. There was just music. And for those of you, I think of you and second chapter of Acts, Phil Keaggy, who we'll be speaking to in a little bit, Larry Norman, some of those early people, you really could have gone either way and done quite well in the secular market. It's been so encouraging. Your music has touched lives. Can I tell you one song that meant so much to me? And I'm going to try and say it without crying. But I went through, back in the day, a terrible allergy where I was just covered with hives constantly, really, really more like boils. It was pretty gruesome. And you sang "Clean Before My Lord I Stand." And Nancy, oh my goodness, that just, I couldn't listen to that too many times. It was just one of those, Yep, that's what matters. And so isn't it, I thought maybe you might like to know that that's one of the ways that song got used. You must hear that from so many people about one song or another. Is there any of your music that hits you too?
Oh, absolutely. I have "Clean Before My Lord" definitely does. That was like the second song that I wrote after I got saved. I was just so excited to be clean on the inside. I'm, all messed up in drugs and everything before I came to know the Lord, and just sin. I mean, just messed up on the inside. And when Jesus came into my life and I experienced that cleaning that only He can do by His blood, that just inspired me to write that song. But it's been really a neat thing to hear individual ways that the Lord has used that song and many others. And, over the years I've come to realize that through music we're really preaching the gospel, and the gospel is the power of God unto salvation. And so miracles can happen through a song that really contains the gospel and the anointing of the Holy Spirit. And that's just such a huge honor. to even be any part of that.
It's
How the Lord uses it in people's lives is awesome.
Oh, yes, and he definitely does and continues to. I always love hearing stories behind songs. It's always fun. And here's another little fun note. I rode around in a Valiant. So, so, and I know you had a Valiant inspire one of your songs. You want to talk about that one a little bit?
Yeah, my first car was a 66 Plymouth Valiant, and it was just a real plain little, nothing fancy about it at all car. And we used to have an evening at our coffee house that we called the Adam's Apple, and the evening we called it the Freak Show. Where it was a talent night, where everybody would just do something. So I wrote a fun song for the talent night. It was called Hummer Bummer Bashmobile. So that was all about and then there's a little kind of hint in there that says the car was a Valiant friend. So, that was a little hint, like what kind of car it was.
Oh, yes, yes. And also, Rattle Me, Shake Me is always a fun one. You've also managed to weave in your sense of humor into some of your music. Is that intentional?
Well, I think it's a gift from the Lord that he knew I would really need a few songs that were funny, because there's just something about when people laugh, they relax and open up, and that connection. I'm always looking for that connection between me and the audience, which is a work of the Holy Spirit. And it's funny, but a funny song can really be powerful in that function of causing that connection to happen. And so I've been very grateful. When I wrote Rattle Me, Shake Me, it was one of those nights where we were on the road driving all night to get from one concert to the next, and just to kind of keep myself awake, I was, figuring out this little song. But I had times in my when I first got saved, that I was so excited about Jesus that people actually thought I was stoned.
Oh, yeah.
Because they couldn't imagine any other explanation. It's just so, it's just so ironic and funny, because I was actually had quit being stoned before that.
Right.
When I got saved, I didn't do that anymore, and so, to be accused of it afterwards is kind of ironic. So, and that's sort of the basis of the song.
Yes, it's pretty cute, and we all love to sing along whenever you pull that one out. You're going to be one of the speakers at The Called. It's the Next Generation Leadership Boot Camp taking place at the end of this month, December 28th through 31st. I'm eager to hear what you're going to be talking about. I know you've had a tremendous, even though you're married with a family, you have a tremendous singles ministry and have had through the years. What are you going to be touching about at the Leadership Boot Camp?
Well, I just heard about that, really. I wasn't sure what the focus was going to be on. And I understand that the workshop's going to be shared between me and Phil Kagi, and it'll be on Saturday afternoon from 1 to 3. And so it's open to really what people want to know. I mean, if they want to know about singleness, what my time of singleness was like in my life, or if they want to know, how I met my husband, or,
Mm-hmm.
or how we have worked out the issues of the balance between ministry and marriage and all of that stuff. I mean, I think that's the general gist of what is going to be talked about, but, it's going to be very much interactive.
Nice.
What people want to hear about.
Well, I think in particular when you are a creative person and married to a creative person, that there is some navigating that goes along with that kind of a marriage.
Well, it's going to be interesting, the contrast between Phil and Bernadette's marriage, which they got married very young, had their children young, and J.R. and I he was 42 and I was 38 when we got married. And so that's a different, there's a transition there that's kind of a different one when you get married as an older single person that, you know, you kind of have your thing, your life, you know, already sort of happening.
Are you saying you kind of are set in your ways at some point, maybe at that age?
Yeah, I think it's quite a big transition to
Mm-hmm.
get used to each other and to figure out how it's all going to work, and it takes a while, but you know, we've been married for 27 years now, and we're just very grateful that we did get married and that we have a family. We have a son who's 22, and we have a granddaughter who's 18 months.
Oh.
You know, it's great to have a family. So it's worth going through the transition.
Absolutely, all that,
Period.
the adjustment time.
Yeah,
Well,
it's worth going through the adjustment time.
exactly. Okay, talk about grandmotherhood. Isn't it the best?
Oh, my.
Best
Wow,
season
what a
yet, right?
joy. I have a little granddaughter, and she's just so cute. So sweet. Just can't hardly wait. You know, there's a lot of grandmas and great-grandmas, and so I kind of have to wait my turn to get my hands on her.
Oh, right. I know. Apparently we have to share, which just doesn't seem fair. I'm curious to know how you went from being a boy mom to a girl grandma.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, it was interesting because I never was around boys as a child. I had two sisters, and so I didn't have a clue how to raise a boy. And then I just kind of learned along the way with Will. Basically, you know, a kid will just teach you as time goes by, and I really enjoyed the boy world. But now I'm, you know, getting a chance to see the little girl world, and that's fun too.
Yep, I totally agree. Well, very curious to hear and interested to hear about the calling to the arts. Are you going to be performing at the conference
Yes,
a little bit?
Friday night, there is a Phil Kagi and Honey Tree concert.
Oh, wow.
And it is at the Community Vineyard Church at 7:30, I think, or is it 7? I'm not sure.
Okay, we've got Ray. I'm going to have him
7:30.
7:30. He just pointed it out. 7:30 is going to be there. Yes, that is awesome.
Oh, yes, we'll be performing, and there may be some performing in the workshop on Saturday afternoon too, because I would just assume that people would want to be able to ask Phil, well, how do you play this or that? You know?
How could you
There'll
not?
probably be a little bit of playing.
You've got Phil Kagi and Honey Tree right there to yourselves in the afternoon. How could you not ask for a tune or two?
Exactly.
Don't know how that happens. Well, you have been so gracious with your time. We're so very grateful to spend this time with you and really looking forward to you coming again.
I am too. It's going to be a delightful time. I'm looking forward to meeting the young people that are going to be at the conference, and just really being able to pray with them and share, you know, whatever they need to hear.
Very awesome. December 28th through 31st. Go to thecalledmovement.com for more information. Nancy Honeytree, you wrote, God is up to something good. He sure was. Thank you so much for your time with us. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.